मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मआणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहसीः अनेनाधीतेनाहुरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my thoughts, words, and actions. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life according to their teachings, day and night. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our true, divine, unchanging, self-effulgent Atman, or the true self, as a steadily burning candle flame in our heart. Let us feel the light from this flame is pervading our whole being and also the universe. All different shapes, names, different forms, with all their attributes, now are seen as the same one light. All distinctions and therefore time and space have melted in this tremendously brilliant, all-pervading light. At the center of this luminous, infinite, all-pervading existence, let us feel a beautiful crimson-colored flower, and let us see Shri Ramakrishna seated there. His face is beaming with the light of knowledge. And is divinely compassionate. I see in his divine, luminous and blissful presence all ignorance has vanished like darkness in the presence of light. I am experiencing the true divine, ever perfect ever blissful self. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us start today's discussion with our regular opening chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashvapaham Shravanamangalam Shri Madatatam Bhuvi Grananti Te Bhurida Janaha. So in this spiritually oriented, wonderful biography of Sri Ramakrishna, which while giving the historical facts of his life, they have also been given with the moods, the spiritual or the psychological working of Sri Ramakrishna, which inspired those events, those facts. As the author has mentioned, that both are being told in this biography. An attempt has been made and care has been taken that in the light of the mental state of Sri Ramakrishna, the external facts are being presented. It is, and he says that that is how it should be, that the external physical actions should always be seen in the light of the mental attitude with which it is performed. It is the mental attitude that determines the nature, the value, significance of the physical actions. This we do always. Like somebody is making fun. The other day, two children were playing here and they were shooting at each other, but not with any that bad intention. It was supposed to be, and it was a nice sport. So looking at that intention, all the rivalry gets a different meaning. That the rivalry, the very tense faces and the attitude of I am going to defeat you, all that assumes a different meaning when we take the mental attitude into consideration. Otherwise, if there is the animosity in the mind, even the flowery words would actually mean the staging of a war or staging even of a murder. Yeah. So it is the mental attitude, the intention that determines the value, the significance of the physical action. Let us remember this, as the author has said, that is how this biography has been put, and the name also is suggestive of that. Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga in original Bengali, and they proper translation like Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. Leela means a play. It's done something for fun, or the staged show, that also is called Leela, a show that has been put on the stage. And there the different these acts come, and then the moods of the actors according to the situation is presented. Now the actor has to bring that mood and show in the stage that it is really like that. That suppose anger has to be shown, that anger has to become, so there won't be any anger inside, but there would be the expression of anger there. So this physical state is a play. Actually nothing has changed inside. There is the scene, say, the actor is showing a lot of fear, scared to the bones, brings all those expressions on the face. Depends, of course, how good the actor is, but is certainly not scared inside. Is quite sure that the things, there is nothing scary about it, but is showing that all the expression has to show all that fear on the face, in the attitude, in the body language, how the words would come out trembling, like that. The hands would tremble in fear, the words would come out differently, showing. So those who look, they would see that fear. But then the actor as such has no fear, no anger, no special elation if that actor wins a lottery in the play. Then we will only show, hey, now I am going to, spend so much money in building this, and I am going. There was a movie that was shown like, somebody wanted to marry. He was a very poor man and wanted to marry a very rich man's daughter, who also was in love with this man. Now the father said, well, okay, but see, my daughter has grown in all the luxuries. So can you manage that? Can you manage that kind of spending at least? I will give you the money. So let me get the proof of it. So he gives that man, okay, a huge sum, saying that this is what she is accustomed to spend in a month. So you have to spend that money in 1 month. Let me see how you do it. And then this man and his friend become so elated. Yeah, wow! But actually there is no elation in the minds of those actors. They are not getting any extra money. It is all just show. And then a lot of emotions are shown there when they decided, for example, this house was to be so built. Come on, we have to build a house. Give me the competent quotes. So normally the lowest would be selected, but then these people wanted to build a costly one, spend the money. So they chose the highest quote. Hey, you are the right person. Come on, start working. It is. And then while the story as it goes, while the building was going on, now the digging of the site was on, and a big jar filled with gold coins comes out from that digging. And the contractor says, oh, this doesn't belong to us. I am honest. You already are paying me what I had asked for. So this all belongs to you. Now normally what would have happened if our Jitendra has got it? Oh, wow! Now I don't need to go doing all this job. I will take rest for the rest of my life. This is huge money. But this man, when he gets that pot of gold, has to show those emotions, because now the spending is now, how can he spend? He got actually more money. He goes to, the horse races for betting. That's the place to surely lose lot of money. Goes there, and then after lot of this thing, study and all recommendations, they bets lot of money on the lowest rated, that is sure to come last, puts all the money. But if that horse wins the race and he is gone, what is this? So now all these contrasting emotions, that has to be shown by the actors. But it is all Leela. Nobody really has won. Nobody has really lost. It is just expressions, the show. So Sri Ramakrishna, it is God in the form of human being on this stage of humanity. He is not really man. He is not born as a man, but like a man, as Shankaracharya describes, and that is a great description, that it is as if born, as if doing good to the world. There is nothing real about it. So, Jata iva, it is as if born. Sharira agrahana kurvan iva. It is Sharira, he has assumed a body. And as if lokanugraha kurvan iva, as if giving, doing the good to the world. As if. This is to be remembered while reading the biography of Sri Ramakrishna. That is why it is Leela Prasanga, that all the actions are performed as a show, as a Leela. Does not mean they are not real, friends. They are real in this drama. And this drama is stage where we all are masters but have forgotten that it is an acting. We think that it is all perfectly real, that it is, it is not possible for our Vitthal to see that the Packers team has actually lost. It has not lost at all. It is just a show going on. All these things are show, but we don't see it. We see it as real. We see that I am this body. I am this limited self. I am not aware of my true infinite nature. And Sri Ramakrishna is acting amongst us to actually bring this truth to our awareness. That is called the lila, the play. And that is the Guru Bhav or the teachership of the incarnation of God. God becomes man so that man may realize his or her divinity. That divinity is to be realized because the God sees in tremendous compassion that people are suffering only because of ignorance. There is no other cause for their suffering. It is difficult for us who have this realism of I and mine around to see that it is not real. We see the other are causes for our suffering. That, what can I do? With this coronavirus is causing all the suffering in the world. As if before coronavirus there was no suffering. Only the names of the sufferings change, that's all. It is, the suffering is the constant feature of this universe and human being especially. That it is, as Buddha had told long ago, that it is all full of suffering. There is no escape here. Whatever other things you may do, even you think that let there be a lot of money available to people, well, it will be suffering with lot of money. Otherwise it was suffering with having not much money. So the suffering remains the same. It is like a man having fever, suffering because of fever. Now instead of putting on a blue jacket, if puts on a red jacket, that doesn't change the situation. So it is just cosmetic changes, that doesn't change the situation. Only real cause of the suffering is to be removed, and that cause is ignorance. So the incarnation or God in human form comes to teach us this very, very important truth of life. If we learn this, we have learned everything. And if we don't learn this, all that other learning that we have is meaningless, useless. You all know the story in the Chandogya Upanishad that one very highly learned man, Narada, goes to a sage, Sanat Kumar, who is established in the true nature of the self, and so therefore free from all tormenting worries of the world. So this man is so learned, when he came to this Sanat Kumar and asked, please teach me. Sanat Kumar asked, please tell me what you have already learned so that I can teach you from there onwards. I don't need to keep on repeating the same thing that you have already learned. So it is, he gave an exhaustive list, Exhaustive means not that the list exhausted. All the things that we think in the world to be learned have already been learned by this man Narada, right from all the Vedas. He says, I have learned Rig Veda, I have learned Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, all the Vedas I have learned. Then what have you come here for? You seem to have learned everything. You have learned mathematics, you have learned history, geography, astronomy, astrology, and these arts of music and dance and literature. Everything you have learned, including this skills of magic and all that, the occult powers, everything you have got. What is lacking? He says that I have no peace. I do not have peace, and I am suffering because in spite of all this learning, I have no peace, and therefore I have come to you, because I have heard from people like you that it is Tarati Shokam Atmavet. I am suffering. That is the meaning of this word shoka. That I am having no peace, full of grief is my life. So, but I heard from people like you, Tarati Shokam Atmavet, one of the great statements of Vedanta. Not what are listed as the official great statements, that were not those 4 Mahavakyas, but this is another great statement of Vedanta. Tarati Shokam Atmavet. The knowers of the self alone go beyond suffering. So only those who want to keep on suffering should neglect this knowledge, true knowledge of the self. So, and to help us in this, God incarnates as man to show this truth, to demonstrate this. And that is why the teachership is the steady, constant feature of the incarnation of God. That every action is for teaching, as Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned a few times, that every action in his life, showing his body here, that it is for what? That for education, for showing the people the way, the truth. So that is the only purpose of it assuming human form. And that is the reason that we are also studying this, to get blessed by having his teachership, Sri Ramakrishna's teachership, functional in our life. that whatever we see, understand, read about Sri Ramakrishna should spark that teachership in us. That Sri Ramakrishna's teachership should change our life. That lesson must be learned, and thus the life will change in the light of that lesson. We saw Sri Ramakrishna had this very singular capability, unique capability of being on both these planes to make the matters just simple. We call it the plane of the absolute and the plane of the relative. Absolute plane, relative plane. And he saw no contradiction between them. He could be oblivious of all forms and thus will be immersed in the absolute. There is no sensation of anything there. Then he would see all the different forms, their names, and would behave with each of them in the most appropriate way without making any mistake. He wouldn't call the cooked rice as the soup. This is rice and then that is soup. It is, he would address the disciples with their proper names, that it is, yes, this is Balram and that is Girish. No, all is same, not in that sense, All is same inside. He is aware of that even while seeing the distinctions. It is not like our seeing the differences. Our seeing the differences is just seeing the differences without seeing the underlying one substance that pervades them all. Sri Ramakrishna is having this complete knowledge, the forms, names, and also therefore the appropriate right way in the given frame of time and place to deal with them. And it is like there is the food may be ready, but he says, well, right now not the time to take food. I won't take the food now. This is being right in the time space. At that, relative to that time, he would do it. Yeah, so excellent, externally speaking, completely, harmonious behavior. Corresponding behavior, no mistake there. But would also see the same God in everything. And this is what we have to learn from Sri Ramakrishna, that the forms may be different, but the substance is the same. And thus we will become free from suffering. It is seeing that the form being different, we see the substance also different. And thus we get agitated, we get greedy, we become violent. So all this, we feel hurt, all this because we see that the form and the content both are different. But actually only the form is different, the content is the same. And thus, as Upanishads describe, tatra ko moha kashoka ekatva manupashyatah This is from Ishavasya Upanishad, which says that when you say that the same self in all, then where is the delusion there? No delusion and no resultant suffering. So, because he is seeing the oneness everywhere. So this is Sri Ramakrishna demonstrate this in life, and according to the nature of the person, where that person is situated in the psycho-spiritual evolution, he gives the teachings. It is a process of evolution. It is because it is matter of experience. It is not academic learning. That it is okay, this is what Sri Ramakrishna said, this is, so we all is Brahman. No. That is not knowledge. Unless your experience certifies it. Yes, I experienced this. And that changes the life. Otherwise the suffering still continue, the desires still keep on tormenting a person. The behavior is guided by those most ludicrous, irrational desires. And thus one keeps on suffering, because that information, it is good enough to give lecture, that yes, the same God pervades everything, and then looks by giving this lecture how much money am I going to get, then it is all meaningless. So therefore this Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are given in such a way that the evolution takes place. Every person gets a push to get on in the right direction. Now every person is imagined like a vehicle, So all different vehicles are, say, progressing towards the same destination. But all will not progress on the same path nor at the same speed. Suppose somebody is walking, the vehicle is the legs. Riding on these legs, this person is moving in that towards that destination. Will have to take a path that is good for walking, so would take that path. Somebody is doing bicycling, so goes on a bike path. Somebody is going in a car, that's a good path, goes accordingly. Somebody takes the water, goes and takes a water ship to get there, is another path. Somebody goes in the airship, aeroplane, so goes by that. So different paths, different speeds, and we are all like that, and we cannot be, it is we don't have the same vehicle, so to say, and there is different speeds. Our intellectual, psychological capabilities are not exactly same. So, and we have to go according to this, what our vehicle's design is. If I have, say, my legs as vehicle, I cannot expect to, go with the speed of the plane. It will be silly. I will just, it will be suicidal. If I try to speed like that, it won't work. So, but it doesn't matter as long as I am going in the right direction. So, Sri Ramakrishna could see the insides of everyone. And so his that nature of his teachership was so spontaneous, so clear, and so efficacious. Very effective, friends, because he is directly seeing where the problem is. That is the highest kind of psychology, that you directly see that it is like this. So, for example, if one of these chairs, right now fortunately it is not, but suppose you see it turned upside down. Now you are seeing, you are also understanding it shouldn't be like that. So because you are seeing it, you will immediately be able to put it right. You know what to do. But when an ordinary person tries to guide another person in how to proceed spiritually, well, what do us? We know about it. Nothing much. We just speculate, refer to the different texts, and then form some opinion, and then, okay, tell this may work. But Sri Ramakrishna is actually seeing and knows, therefore, very clearly what is surely, certainly going to work. So that is why he is the teacher, he is the guru, and so that should be followed. We saw, we are beginning the new chapter today, and therefore I am giving this somewhat lengthy introduction, that it is from page 600. The chapter is Pilgrimage of the Master as a Guru and his association with holy men. We saw the various expressions of his teachership with many of these his own gurus, those who came to teach him. They also got the benefit of Sri Ramakrishna's teachership. Although they came as teachers, they became the students too. Then we saw how people from various different sects, they came to Dakshineshwar, and how Sri Ramakrishna helped them. They got helped by Sri Ramakrishna. Let us put it in a passive voice. Because, why passive voice? Many times people have complained that this Bengali book, and then because of that the translation, because the original book has so much passive voice, and that has to be told in the, because the translation is authentic, then it has to be given a passive voice in translation as well. And this is not considered a great way of composing sentences in ordinary case. Sometimes when I take help of Google in composing, I get a message, change to active voice. Change it to the active voice. Don't use passive voice unnecessarily. It makes the sentence complicated. But with Sri Ramakrishna, one must remember why this passive voice usage is so important. Because there is no ego. Not that I am doing something. Passive voice becomes important because things are getting done by Divine Mother using this body-mind complex called Sri Ramakrishna. That is why that awareness being so constant with Sri Ramakrishna, it was impossible for him even to use the words that I did it or I will do this. Well, whatever Divine Mother does. So, that is how his nature of his teachership is also like that. Not that, come on, hey, you guys. Not that I am going to hold a class for you. Not like that. It was spontaneous expression, like the fragrance coming out of the, say, a flower. A fragrant flower spreads it spontaneously. So, as he used to mention himself, when the flower blooms, the bees do not need to be sent a separate invitation. The bees just come there automatically. So it is like that his teachership worked. Now this chapter is about when Sri Ramakrishna had gone for a pilgrimage. Now there he meets so many different people who again are human beings. So Sri Ramakrishna's teachership becomes manifest there as well in removing the obstacle in their path and thereby making them progress ahead. And how his association with various holy people that he met during this time. Very nice, very important to say. Also, a characteristic of good teacher is that person has good student. Only a good student can become a good teacher also. So Sri Ramakrishna was a very good student as well. And so he learned a few things during these interactions too. So in this chapter we shall try to see these things. So let us start reading this. This is the chapter 3 in this particular volume. So it begins with a quote from Bhagavad-Gita. You must have noticed that all the chapters have begun with a verse from Bhagavad-Gita. And whatever is told, going to be told in that chapter is in a way hinted in this verse. That it is, this verse is from the 10th chapter, that Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad urjitameva va. So, that it is that whatever is in this world with a special manifestation, a person who has certain very special adorable qualities, not even a person, even a thing, like you say, well, the Grand Canyon, people go to see Grand Canyon, they don't come to Providence to see that little dip in the land there. It is not even worth calling it a canyon, but they go to see this big, huge valley, Grand Canyon. So, because it is something special. So, similarly, they go to see all these very special places. Now, what makes them special? So, Lord says, Tattadevavagachatvam mama tejansha sambhavam. All that is really a manifestation of a partial manifestation of my glory, my power. Whatever glorious or beautiful or mighty being exists anywhere, know that it has sprung from but a spark of my splendor, mama tejansha sambhavam. So, and then it starts, it is not possible to record everything about how the master inspired as a guru and established established in Bhavamukha, enacted his divine play in so many places, among so many people, and in so many ways. Just remember this word Bhavamukha, which we just saw that it is, he is having access to both these planes, the absolute and the relative. So, that is Bhavamukha. So, and this has been very elaborately discussed earlier as well. So, that is how his teachership was sourced in this Bhavamukha. So, we have already presented some incidents to the reader, but we will now relate how he also went on pilgrimages in the role of a guru. Again, let us not get confused by these words, role of a guru. Role only as the actor has a role, like that. Not that Sri Ramakrishna decided, okay, now I will go to pilgrimage as a guru, will teach everybody there. No. Role means somebody is acting, but the play has already been written by the author. The author, as the author has written, the actor has to act. That is true with all incarnations. So Jesus also mentions that everything will happen as written in the book, not a letter will get falsified. So, it is this that I have to act as per the letter is. So, he is just acting like that. Now, in the book it is written that now Sri Ramakrishna is going for pilgrimage. Okay, come on, that act begins as it were. So, his nature as the teacher manifests in that action, now in that act of going on a pilgrimage. So, as far as we have seen, no action of the master was without purpose or meaning. When we study the most ordinary daily activities of his life, they appear to be endowed with deep significance. So what can we say of special events? In this modern age, we have not seen another life in the spiritual world so filled with unusual events. Even after a lifetime of austerity and effort, it is almost impossible for a person to fully realize only one of the innumerable aspects of God. The Master, however, saw and experienced God in many ways, discovered that all religious paths are true by practicing the sadhana of each one, and helped the aspirants of each path to move forward to their respective goals. Has anyone ever seen or even heard of another such person in the spiritual world? It is important to know this, that Sri Ramakrishna said the same thing that is given in the scriptures, and even many great teachers, before Sri Ramakrishna also have told this, but that is as a logical conclusion, not out of experience. They experienced the truth going by one path. They did not go on many different paths to reach the ultimate truth. Now the authority of Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Ramakrishna says all these religions are true, stems from this fact that he actually has gone by all these paths and reached by every path the same one goal, which is the ultimate goal of humanity. And so he is a very special manifestation. We shall dwell more on this passage next Tuesday. If there are any questions, you can ask after we meditate for a few seconds on these teachings. Yes.
Swamiji, there is a question from Charlie. Are Thakur's teachings effective with our capabilities?
Yes, everybody's capability, and they are effective for everybody. According to their capability, the quantity or the intensity of the effect will vary. It will not be the same. But all will get helped by that. Just to give a present superficial example, that everybody when gets vaccinated will not have the same exact effect, but everybody will get some protection from the virus. That is being assured. So, many would get a reaction, many would not get a reaction. Some would even get coronavirus even after vaccination. But the symptoms would be comparatively mild in most cases. But yet, majority of the cases, almost everybody will get helped by that. So also with Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, everybody will get helped, but not exactly in the same quantity, same intensity. Yeah. Yes, Ajay. Why do they? Oh, well, the question is, some of them, those who came to Dakshineshwar, and many who even did not come to Dakshineshwar, they were free while living, Jivan Mukta. They had realized the ultimate goal, the Brahman. Now, Ajay's question is, they didn't have any inclination to teach humanity, then why were they holding on to this body? Firstly, how do we judge that they had no this teachership in them. They were teaching by their own life. The teaching was being spread. That is one thing. Second thing, it is not that they were intentionally holding on to the body. The body was surviving, as they say in scriptures, to finish the past accumulated karma, the effect of the past actions which have already started bearing the result, that needs to be completed by this body, and till that is finished, the body continues. So, not that, okay, I will hold the body to teach humanity. That is not the attitude there. But since, they are full of this wisdom, their wisdom gets manifested by their living. And so they also are teachers without the intention or inclination to teach. Just as even Sri Ramakrishna didn't have the manifest intentional teaching as such. The teaching was happening. That is why I mentioned that passive voice is used. So, that is, it is not an intentional teaching, but the presence itself becomes teaching. So that is how even with others, with that illumined soul, they teach automatically. What we would call an illumined person who has realized the truth, there will be the automatic manifestation of teachership. But there is, why the body is held, now there are many explanations, that it is maybe God wants them to be an instrument, and so they are called the adhikarik purushas in scriptures, that they have been given certain responsibilities, and so their bodies survive even after this knowledge. But their number is few and far between are they. Then there are others who are surviving to expedite this karma, prarabdha karma as it is called, which has already been, has to finish that, because it has already started its course. So that is, till that is done, the body won't fall. It is like that when you are bicycling on a slope. Now, even if you press the brake, and even if you press it hard, you are not pedaling, you are not accelerating the bicycle. It is moving on its own. How? Because there is the acquired momentum that has to be exhausted. You are pressing the brakes, but still it will take some time before it comes to a complete halt. So that is how these lives are. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. Let me remind that there will be the special evening chant on Thursday. It is the day of special worship of Shiva, Shivaratri. So we shall not do much anything elaborate, except after the evening arati we will have a long chant, Shiva Nama Sankirtanam. It is, you are welcome to join, but you have to join in person. It will not be shown on our online channel. And yes, let me remind you that from coming Sunday morning, we will have one daylight saving begins. So push forward your clocks on Saturday night. So you will get 1 hour less sleep, but then that is just compensation of the 1 hour extra sleep that you got earlier when the daylight saving ended. So nothing free, whatever you get, you have to give back. Yeah. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.